For 5 long years, every single Sunday without fail, Alexander Reed's black luxury car rolled silently through the iron gates of the old cemetery on the edge of the city, stopping beneath the same ancient oak tree whose golden leaves fell like memories onto the worn gravestone below, a gravestone that carried the name of the only woman he had ever truly loved. Alexander was known to the world as a young billionaire genius, self-made, ruthless in business, unstoppable, but here, kneeling on the cold ground in his tailored black suit, he was just a broken husband whispering apologies to a stone that could never answer back. His wife, Emily, had supposedly died in a tragic accident 5 years earlier, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions, unbearable guilt, and a hollow space in Alexander's chest that no amount of money could ever fill. Every visit followed the same ritual. He cleaned the gravestone with his own hands, replaced the white flowers, closed his eyes, and spoke to her as if she were still listening, about his regrets, the arguments he wished he could undo, the child they never got to have, and the life that ended too soon. And every Sunday, just as predictably, there was a small child standing a short distance away, watching him. The boy couldn't have been more than 8 years old, dressed in worn clothes, his shoes always too big, his eyes too observant for someone so young. At first, Alexander ignored him, assuming he was just another poor child wandering the cemetery with no place to go, but over time, the boy became as much a part of the routine as the flowers and the prayers. Sometimes the child sat near a nearby headstone, sometimes he pretended to play with fallen leaves, but his eyes never left Alexander. 5 years passed like this, 5 years of grief, 5 years of silence between a billionaire and a child neither of them dared to acknowledge. Until one autumn afternoon, when the wind carried a strange heaviness in the air and the child finally stepped forward as Alexander knelt at the grave, tears streaming down his face. In a small but steady voice, the boy said, "You don't need to cry here anymore. She isn't here." Alexander froze, anger and disbelief flashing across his face as he snapped back that children shouldn't joke about the dead, but the boy didn't flinch. Instead, he looked directly into Alexander's eyes and said words that shattered the world he had been living in. "She's alive. My mother told me everything." The cemetery seemed to spin as Alexander laughed bitterly, convinced the child was lying or confused, but then the boy did something impossible. He described Emily's birthmark, the one hidden beneath her collarbone, the lullaby she used to hum when she thought no one was listening, and the secret nickname she used only when she was afraid. Each detail struck Alexander like a hammer, memories he had never shared with anyone, secrets only Emily could have known. His heart pounded as the boy explained that 5 years ago, Emily hadn't died, she had been forced to disappear to protect her child, a child Alexander never knew existed, a child now standing right in front of him. The accident had been staged, the death certificate forged, all orchestrated by people who feared Alexander's rising power and wanted leverage over him. Emily had chosen to vanish rather than put her family in danger, believing Alexander would be safer thinking she was gone forever. As the truth poured out, Alexander collapsed onto the ground, sobbing not from grief but from overwhelming relief and heartbreak all at once. The child, his child, placed a small hand on his shoulder, just like Emily used to do, and said, "She watches you every time you come here. She never stopped loving you." That day, the grave that had symbolized loss became a symbol of hope, and the billionaire who thought he had nothing left to live for discovered that love, when protected by sacrifice, can survive even death itself. Alexander left the cemetery not as a grieving widower, but as a father and a man given a second chance, determined to reunite his family, protect the truth, and rebuild a life that was stolen from him by fear. And if this story moved you, surprised you, or made you believe in second chances, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because every subscription helps us bring you more powerful, emotional stories that remind us love is stronger than fate.